Clyhill was a secret kept safe by rolling hills. A tangle of cobblestone streets wound past thatched roof cottages, each one draped in ivy and bursting with blooms. William, used to the sharp edges of London, found himself charmed. He'd come with friends, a weekend escape from the city's clamour. Laughter filled the car as they sped along, anticipation bubbling like the champagne they'd brought for later. They passed a weathered signpost, Clyhill, 2 miles, and William smiled. A change of scenery was exactly what he needed. William inhaled the scent of honeysuckle, a stark contrast to the city's fumes. He'd almost forgotten the simple pleasure of fresh air. His friends, used to his city-bred ways, teased him about his sudden fascination with the countryside. "Look at him," James chortled. "He's practically inhaling the scenery." But William didn't care. There was something about Clyhill that resonated deep within him, a sense of peace he hadn't realized he craved. The sputtering started subtly at first, a hiccup in the engine's rhythm. Then, with a groan that echoed through the tranquil air, the car lurched to a stop. Silence descended, broken only by the chirping of crickets and the distant bleating of sheep. "Don't tell me," James began, his voice laced with disbelief. William, ever practical, popped the bonnet and peered at the engine. He knew nothing about cars. "Well?" Emily asked, her voice tinged with concern. William shut the bonnet with a sigh. "Doesn't look good," he admitted. No signal either. They were stranded. Across the road, nestled amongst a cluster of apple trees, sat a small cottage. Smoke curled from its chimney, a beacon of hope. "I'll see if they can help," William announced, already striding towards the cottage. He could feel his friend's eyes on him, a mix of amusement and relief. He raised his hand to knock, but the door swung open before his knuckles could connect with wood. A girl stood framed in the doorway, her silhouette backlit by the warm glow of the cottage. She was young, barely out of her teens, with a cascade of dark hair framing a face that could launch 1,000 ships. But it was her eyes that captivated William. They were the color of moss after a rain shower, flecked with gold that seemed to glitter in the fading light. William forgot what he was going to say. He simply stood there mesmerized as the girl's cheeks flushed a delicate pink. She opened her mouth to speak, but no sound emerged. Just then a gruff voice boomed from within. "Who is it, Lily?" A moment later, a burly man with kind eyes and a shock of grey hair appeared behind her. "Car trouble," William managed, his voice hoarse. The man, sensing his daughter's discomfort, gently ushered her aside. "Don't you worry about that, son," he said, his voice gruff but reassuring. "Let's have a look, shall we?" The engine, coaxed back to life by the man's calloused hands, purred with renewed vigor. William, thanking him profusely, climbed back into the car. As they pulled away, he glanced back at the cottage. Lily stood on the porch, her hand resting lightly on her father's arm. Their eyes met, and a shy smile touched her lips. William felt something shift within him, a feeling he couldn't quite place. The image of Lily, her eyes sparkling like captured starlight, stayed with him long after the cottage had disappeared from view. The memory of Clyhill, once a charming escape, now held a different allure. He knew with a certainty that surprised him that this wasn't a goodbye. It was a "see you soon." And this time it wouldn't be the village's quaint charm drawing him back, but the girl with the moss-green eyes and the shy smile, waiting on a porch framed by honeysuckle.